It takes just a minute to get this live stream going here. All right, it says that we are live on YouTube. So, Chair Crenshaw, whenever you are ready, you are welcome to open the meeting.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Clackamas Community College Board of Education special work session to order. Today is Wednesday, August 13, 2025, and it's around 6 o'clock in the evening. Thank you for being here, and please note that Director Hathorn was unable to attend and he has been excused. First, I would like to say welcome back to President Cook. Let's thank him, give him a standing ovation for the job well done in making the awareness of community college students' basic needs throughout the community. I also hear that you reached your goal, raising $150,000. That's excellent. Congratulations, team.
Thank you. And thank you so much for the board support through all this. You sent me messages and encouragement and showed up and the rest. I'm super appreciative of just all the support that you gave and really happy about all the awareness that we brought for community college students statewide.
That's great because we have a full page ad in the Oregonian, 2 pages actually, and I'm going to have you sign it for me so I can keep that as a history.
Absolutely.
I'd like to turn this meeting over to Katie Riggs, Casey Layton, and Tina Francisco Evans for the work session item. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Crenshaw, and welcome this evening, board members. Thank you for being here. I know this is an off time. Normally, we don't hold a board meeting in August or a work session in August. We usually just do the retreat. But since we're on these little this journey of getting you up to speed with our new Cougar Pause, our decision equity, our strategic equity resource for planning and decision making at the college, and then working with you on how you potentially as board members could utilize that framework in the work that you do. And so I want to remind you that both Casey Layton and Tina Francisco Evans is here with me this evening. We have been working as a team on this, and I'm going to share my screen to bring back up the presentation that we started to share with you at the work session in July. And give me just a second while I change this to full screen. And potentially move this bar out of my way. So as you can see, we were introducing the Cougar Pause, which is a strategic equity resource for planning, decision-making, and conscious reflection. And so I'm just going to remind you here that when we talked in July, we went ahead and shared the tool with you. We provided you the background on the previous interim equity decision-making framework that we had originally had at the college that you had been introduced to. And then we let you know what the Cougar Pause is and is not, what it is for a resource and what it's not. We showed you that there is the summarization visual, the more of the flat basic visual, and then it has the more detailed visual. We also reminded you, we provided you, whoops, I'm gonna go back one. We provided you with some resources that will now remain at the dais every time that the board comes to a board meeting. They'll have the little flip chart and they'll have the placemat there that has all of the information on it, so that if during a presentation or if during a decision you want to utilize the tool, it'll be right there at your fingertips to do so. And then I'm gonna stop sharing this and bring up that actual tool with the words on it so that you can take a few minutes to re-familiarize yourself with that. and read through it. I know I have sent it to you in an email, and afterwards I had sent it to you in an email, and then you also probably have it in the agenda packet, but I'm gonna try to make it a little bit bigger here, and I'll reshare my screen as soon as I get that up. We're gonna take just a few minutes to review it again. And then we have some discussion questions that we had given you at the last meeting, but we didn't have time to actually go into and look at those. So first, I'm going to back this out so that you can see this was the placemat, the tool. And at your dais, the flip chart has these separated out into, each page. And then you have this larger placemat where you can read more of the information on it. Now I'm going to zoom back in and take you to this beginning section here, the foundation section. And I'm just going to give you a few minutes to read through that. And then I'm going to move you to the next section. Jane, I see your hand raised. Chair Crenshaw, would you recognize board member Reed to ask a question? Oh, you're muted, but I think she said yes.
I think she did. I
Yes.
apologize because I missed the last board meeting. So I missed probably a lot of this that was putting it in place. And I'm wondering when I'm reading this, am I reading this as a board member at a board meeting? Am I reading this as I'm looking at policy that's coming before us? That is just my question. That's my question. Does that make sense to people? Okay.
It does. And yes, I apologize. Both board member Reed and also board member Ingersoll had both missed the last meeting. And I think we went through a little bit of this, but I don't think it was much. So I'm just going to reiterate, and I'll let Casey join in there, and Tina, if you have anything. But it's basically this is a tool or resource that the college is going to start utilizing, and has already actually started utilizing in any of the decision making that we're doing, in any of the work that we're working on. So when we did like the budget work and stuff like that, there was pieces of this tool that were used during that process that staff used to make sure that we were being as inclusive as possible, to make sure that we were thinking outside the box. We weren't excluding anything. We were trying to, find those missing pieces and make sure that everyone had a voice and everyone could join into whatever the conversation or decision is. And we're bringing this to the board as a future resource in any way that the board would like to utilize it, but that's pretty open-ended and that's very large to say that to the board, and it seems very overwhelming. And so because of that, we're going to start very small. And I think this is part of what I say in the presentation later, but I'm just going to say it now, is that we chose to introduce the tool to you to get you familiar with it. And then we're choosing to move forward with just one way out of probably multiple ways the board could use this tool. And one of those ways is when you are reviewing board policies, you can take this tool and pieces of this tool, and we thought even that was a little large. So the proposal is that Casey, Tina, and I went together and we've created a mini tool that the board can use when reviewing either new policies or policies that are up for review. Because taking one board policy through all of these questions and this whole process would be ginormous. And we recognize that. And we also recognize that you're volunteers and don't have all the time in the world to do all this wonderful work, even though you want to. So we are using this tool to create a smaller version that's more manageable for the board to actually utilize when reviewing and making a decision on a board policy. And that's kind of the whole purpose of us doing these little mini work sessions with you.
Okay, and we can kind of assume that when something comes to us, it has been through this process. This is
I would say yes and no, but we still ask that part of the process is asking the questions, and each person's answer could be different. So that's the unique and amazing part of the tool, is that my answer to a question such as, was anything missing from this, might be different than your answer.
yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, if I could add just real quickly, I mean, the whole college is on this journey, and so I don't think you can assume that this whole tool or this would have been used for every decision. But I think having the board really understanding how this works and how and how we're trying to apply it, and then giving you the opportunity to at a board meeting, maybe ask some of these questions or think about that too, I think will help everyone at the college really get used to using this as we go along. We're very new in this, and using this tool, and we just want to make sure you're along with us and and supporting that too.
Is it being received well?
I don't think they can.
I think it's new. I mean, I don't want to speak for Casey. Casey's smiling. I think like a lot of things, we have early adopters and we have people that are really interested in this. I would say it's a huge improvement over that interim equity tool that we had before that was so convoluted and just
Oh, it
really
was
hard to, yeah. And that scared people off. And so what I like about this one is it's more accessible and there's some other ways, but I don't know. I don't mean to speak for Casey or Tina. Or Katie for that matter.
Okay. Well, I'll let you
Jane,
continue.
yeah, I was just going to say, Jane, to directly answer your question, I would say right now we're asking you to read the Cougar Pause, the strategic equity resource, as a board member.
Okay.
And then as a participant in this discussion further along in this conversation, we wanted you to be aware that Tina, Katie, and I as a team, we are using the Cougar Pause to inform a process that we are asking the board to engage in around policy review and like new policies, adopting new policies and policy review. It is not meant to be something that is utilized in a one-time sit down. We're creating something for you that you could sit down and utilize as you do policy reviews, and know that we're using the strategic equity tool to build that for you.
Mhm.
All right. if there's no other questions on this part, I'm going to keep going with this so you can read the rest of the Cougar's Pause tool, and then we will have some discussion questions that we can get to, and then we'll get to the next section here. So let me continue to share my screen. We are on the implementation, I believe. So we'll read through that. Then I'm going to zoom it back out so you can see how the whole tool remind you that you really, since you weren't here, Jane, you really can start anywhere in this process. That's why it's kind of in a more of a circular-ish type motion. It's just each time you go through one of these sections, we're asking, you to, or as you're working through something, we ask you to pause and to reflect by asking yourselves, some of these questions, or asking the group or whoever you're working with some questions. And then again, going through the next section and pause and ask the questions. And so you can, it can begin anywhere, but usually you begin with the foundation and then work your way through. And then I'm going to stop sharing this tool altogether, and I'll bring back up my slides so that we can get to the discussion questions here, which we started to get to at the last meeting and we just didn't get enough time. So I am going to share my screen and turn it over to Casey Layton.
Awesome. And I really just thought to myself, I don't have my notes section pulled up in regards to this. But what we wanted to do was really have you think about just to yourself for about 60 seconds, and then we'll open up for discussion, because sometimes people need a little bit of quiet time to think through their answers. But the questions are, what are the most striking features? What were that were noticeable features of the equity strategic tool? What stood out to you as you read through it? Why don't we give about 30 seconds? You can write down your answers and just think through that to yourself, and then Katie will open up for discussion. I've got a timer going.
Casey, are you the timer?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. believe it or not, that was 30 seconds. Does anyone need more time to kind of think through their response? Awesome. Well, just Chair, I just asked, are people able to speak freely during this section? Awesome. Awesome. So just popcorn style, it would be great if we could just hear from actually each of you, if you just say a little bit about what stood out to you about this. That would be really helpful. You can start anywhere.
I'd like to go. I like the different colors that you used, and I like the graphic. It's a lot of complicated information. It can feel that way, but it's not all black and white, and it's not like written on a Word document. And having it broken up in those different sections makes it a more dynamic, easier to implement tool.
Thank you, Irene. Jane, I see you're off mute.
I see, at least currently for me, the best way to use that is looking at a policy. I mean, I think that is a good one because and then looking at it if one is on the policy committee, and then if one is just not on the policy committee but reviewing them, looking at it that way too. I did feel at the very first question that you had, some of the language was just not comfortable to me. I mean, it was like very, I don't even remember what it was. The things that were in parentheses at the end, at the first statement.
In the foundation statement or off to
The
the
one that
left
you just
under-
put up, the one you had just up, not this, but the one you just posted for our questions.
Yeah.
And it was,
Oh, what's the most striking feature
Yeah,
maybe, yeah.
yeah.
about the tool? Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry. This isn't
And
necessarily
this
part of
is,
the tool,
and
but
I
yes,
don't know,
okay.
interface, specific functionalities. Both of those are like blah to me. They really are. And they're probably not to you because that is what you live probably. But just knowing that, and maybe I'm the only one that just
That's
jumps.
okay that you're the only one. I'm glad you're sharing it.
Yeah. So I am, I'm not afraid to show my ignorance of, but those kinds of things are just kind of, I'm not even clear what they mean. So, yeah.
I want to thank you for that. If you all don't mind, I just want to follow up really quickly with what you shared. In regards to a tool, just in general, maybe not even a strategic equity tool, but let's say you were using a hammer or a screwdriver or something like that.
Mhm.
Do you find interface do you find it easy to use? Or were there specific functionalities of that tool that you appreciated? Like maybe it was, I don't know, a Phillips head screwdriver or a flathead screwdriver. Like, was there specific functionalities of the tool that you liked? And was the information, I guess I would even say, like the instructions on how to use it, was the data presented well for you? That's really where those terms came from for any tool that you're holding in your hand or utilizing. But thank you for sharing that.
Okay, and thank you for explaining that. That makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
Other folks, Joe, it looks like you're off mute.
I'm 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 trying to put my words together to understand what I really want to ask, but I don't want to ask it out until I clarify in my head. To me, it's all seemed to be the opportunity to come to a conclusion, but utilizing your strengths, what you feel is relevant. And that's where I was trying to get to. And I'm thinking, am I on the right path or what? So
There's not a wrong path. So, yep, you're on the right path.
so it's and then Dr. Cook said that everyone at the college is going through this. So I mean,
Well, I will say this. Based on many things, it's not a mandatory training at all. That's a required training. It is freely available to folks that are interested in utilizing a tool that will help them think through and plan for a plan and or conscious reflection over things, program review, or how they've worked on something. But it is not mandated. However, it is available. We really hope people utilize multiple kinds of tools to help them, engage in or make decisions around the college. This is just one that we're offering.
All right. And it's not replacing anything, correct?
It is an evolution of the original foundational and interim equitable decision-making framework, which really was a database of questions, and folks' main concern was they didn't know how to use it. How many questions do they answer? What do they do with their answers once they answer the questions? And so what we did was organize questions in a particular pattern to create ease of use on like thinking things through.
Right.
Is that
And
helpful? Yeah.
It helps to clarify a little bit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was the tool before. This is what it looked like before. It was page 1, page 2, page 3. And it was just a list of, of questions that some of them are similar, but maybe a little different. And you weren't really sure, do you need to go through all of them? Do you need to go through, one in each section? It just was, do we start here at the impact or do we start at the purpose? Like it was just a bit confusing. And then what do we do with the answers to the question? And I feel that with the new Cougar Pause, it allows you, and what's kind of funny is that it allows you to continue to go through it multiple times if you want. It's not like a go through straight down, up and down. That's why it's kind of like circular, because the more you discuss it might bring you back to a foundational question or one of the other collaborative questions. And then you go back to maybe the implementation, and then you might go back again to, and so it kind of helps you to facilitate your way around and to allow the group or yourself or whomever to stop, pause, think about, reflect, and then implement if needed, or adjust if needed, or add more people to the group, or answer some questions.
Okay.
Ryan and Rob, what are your thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, I can share. I've only been here a short period of time, but I had shared this with Casey after my first meeting, around being really taken aback and impressed with the land acknowledgement and the intentionality that went into that. And I see that intentionality here and the work that the staff at CCC are doing. So I'm like, wow, this is great. Like, so first, I just want to say that I think that really shows. And this is continuing that theme. I think some things that stand out to me that struck me, it's really approachable content. The centering of the graphic, I think, really draws people that are focusing on that in and starts thinking. And I think that's really helpful with then the guiding questions that surround it. So I really like that. And then two other things that I found to be really baked into it, at least from my reflection, is this idea of appreciative inquiry, like engaging in these questions and paying attention to it with using that model, which really can, particularly around a wide variety of topics, can really sort of take the gloves off, so to speak. Say, like, kind of sets you back, like, oh, okay, and makes it again really approachable. And then this idea too that's baked into it that I see is this idea of continuous improvement. Like, it's okay if we're not there yet. We're going to keep cycling through. We're going to keep working on this. And that was really evident in the questions. But then this idea of dipping in and dipping out sort of as you go through that cycle and where you might need to start. And I think the last one, the last point of evaluate, learn, and revise, the last part of it says, how can you use it differently in the future to be more effective? Again, sort of saying, being reflective on the process and the tool itself to then utilize it for the future. So it's a great work. I'm really impressed. And I'm seeing ways like, oh, how can I use this in other areas beyond CCC? Maybe even conversations with people that are hard. So
Absolutely.
Thank you for your work.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This is such a great conversation. Rob, I want to offer you space to say like what stands out to you about this resource. And welcome, Ron. We're in a conversation about the Cougar Pause, I should say.
Well, as a analytical type person, I kind of I love the pause and reflect. I think that's always wise throughout the process. I don't know, have you gone through, and this is the wrong terminology, have you gone through a full process on any topic or any policy?
Great
Where you could
question.
describe to
I
us
would love
how
to
this
let.
might have changed the outcome by going through this process.
Oh, awesome. I'm going to actually, Tina, I'm going to call you into the conversation because I think it would be great for you to talk about kind of this meta experience we're having as we utilize the tool to actually launch the tool at the college.
And I also think that a specific topic would be helpful to kind of just practice on a specific topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll share our experience, which we kind of talked about at the previous board meeting, but so we decided we were going to use the tool to launch the tool, like Casey said, very meta. And so we went through and just started answering questions. Casey and I sat down and we're like, okay, what are we doing here? Let's get our thoughts together. So we did actually start at foundation. And I think so there's foundation and then collaborate. And we kind of stopped at collaborate once we figured out who we were going to center. And when we paused there, we met with the people that we decided to center, and we're like, okay, we're going to go back to implement and communicate once we talk to these people and see how we're going to answer the rest of these questions. So we just had summer in service where we had our first introduction of the Cougar Pause with folks. It was voluntary to join. And we were able to sort of finish the worksheet. So we went through all of the sections: foundation, collaborate, implement, communicate, evaluate, learn, and revise. And it was personally, it took a little bit of time because it required a lot of pausing and reflecting, which is again the purpose of this tool. And we even went back to the previous sections, foundation, collaborate, and I was like looking at it like, oh, this is what we wrote 3 months ago, and we added more info in of like, this is actually what happened. We thought this was gonna be what happened, but it actually went this way. And I think that's what's cool about the tool again, right? You can answer it again, go through it again, maybe even mark the date, right? You can do it multiple times. Like can show what am I trying to say here? The evolution of that process of the rollout, at least for us, the launch of the tool. What's exciting for us, so we're not quite done yet. So I don't have an answer for you of like something that's been completed, a process that's been completed, because we are still going to fully launch the tool at fall in service. And I'm excited to go back through these questions and maybe answer them one more time after we launch it to our faculty and staff at fall in service. So maybe we can get back to you after that on how that went.
Awesome,
And
Tina.
the unexpected turn or consequence, I hope, was positive.
Absolutely. I had definitely a moment of I was very proud that we made it this. Yeah, we made it this far. We made it through the tool, and it took us, I mean, we've been planning this for months. So it took us quite a while to actually get through the whole thing, and that's okay. That's the point.
Now, I could see this feeling cumbersome at first, but far, far superior to what we saw in the initial offering that you showed earlier. But the mini tool is definitely a much better way to go. And the diagrams, I agree with Irene, much more effective. And
Yeah.
but I assume as this gets used more and more frequently, it's less and less cumbersome, right? You'll get used to it and know what questions to ask and hopefully how to respond as well.
And also being okay with not knowing the answer yet. Like the answer might come eventually, and it's, again, not a checklist. You don't need to answer every question in order to move on. But hopefully you review the questions and you keep them in the back of your head. So you are thinking about it as you're going through, the tool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And there's more to come. I mean, I have so many things that I want to like talk to Tina and Chris, Tina and Katie about what are other ways, what are some of the other dynamics of things that have been created adjacent to this, that are other resources that are connected to the map, the larger map, that really help people think things through. We were really trying to think through all kinds of processors, how people process information or utilize data that they've gathered so that they can make a decision, or how to report out their process in which they went through to, like, let's say the board, and they're presenting you, they can talk about the timeline of here's where we started, this is what we tried, we came back, we revised, here's the outcomes, and next time we think we're going to do this, right? So it allows them it allows them an opportunity to document a process in a way that covers a lot of things in regards to reporting back out to others what you did and how you came to the conclusions that you did, or made decisions between trade-offs. Because, right, we are aware that there are many perspectives on the table many times, and you have to make, we don't have infinite resources and or time and things like that. So it's like, how did we come to a conclusion about the trade-offs that were there? What did we center when we said we were going to fund this program and not this one, right? Like there's because they're not easy. But when you have a tool, at least you can talk, you can be open about what you did and what was the thinking at the time when you made that decision. So Katie, I think, oh, go ahead, Irene. And then Katie, on your end, I think we could just jump to possibly maybe the last question. But Kate, yes, Irene.
Well, the strategic plan laminated is on my desktop. And just to kind of follow up with kind of like the complexity of this and trying to learn to understand it, I was wondering if it would be possible to, well, at least for me, get a laminated one to take home so that I have it next to my computer, and like it just kind of, it takes time to really work through that wheel as we make decisions. And I think something like that is a very good tool for me to even use in my personal life and
Absolutely.
business.
We will charge you all $15.
I thought we were going
Please
to
do that.
copies.
Please do that.
No,
about
we
the
will
Cougar
allow them
Paws
to.
tattoo. Isn't that what we're talking about? Is getting the
Yeah.
tattoo there, and you've got it ready to go.
Right on your arm. I appreciate that. And actually, Irene, that you're looking at the college's strategic plan. This is an outcome of one of our strategic initiatives in the DEI sections. This is what we put our minds. It was one of the action items that we had told ourselves that we would review and update and figure out new and accessible ways with our norm equitable decision making framework at the time. So that's where this stemmed from.
There was one thing that we went through at the last meeting. Kathy Heiser went through a session right at the end where she was utilizing the Google Pause, and I missed it. I couldn't get it, so I was going to talk to her tonight, but I'll see her later. But that's the kind of things that I'm looking for. How can we use it? And can we use it, not necessarily assign, but as Irene said, if I have the information next to me, then I know what I'm doing. So it's great. It is another way of thinking, and you know how our brains are. There's sometimes one track.
Exactly, and that's because we're human, right? It's not because we're inherently bad or good or something else. This is just a resource to help us stop for a second and be like, am I caught up in groupthink? Am I caught up in a centering or anchoring bias that now I'm aware of? And I could apply this information differently as to how we would move forward to support students or employees have resources or feel skilled up or access to some type of academic success, all of those things. So
Terrific.
yeah.
Well, and that just goes to show that that's the next question, that as you're working through and looking through this, and as we keep coming back to you over and over again, keep thinking about how could the board most effectively utilize this strategic equity tool? When could they utilize it? How often? How even in like Kathy did last time, even in asking follow-up questions to a presentation regarding something you're going to be making a decision on, just pick out one or two of the questions that's on the tool and ask it, so that you're aware and you're utilizing it. And the more you do it, the more it will become natural and easier to remember and to do and be a part of it'll just be intertwined into your everyday workings. And then I'm going to move to this next section, which is the current opportunity. And so as Tina and Casey and I were working together, as we were looking at the Cougar Pause tool and how could the board potentially utilize it, we went ahead and put together a proposal, which was in the agenda packet last time and this time, that we would like you to start small. Start with something very small. And so we chose the board policy, reviewing board policies or looking at new board policies. And so how could you utilize the equity tool in the opportunity when you have to review board policies or look at any new ones that are coming before you? And when we were looking at that, we thought, wow, using this Cougar Pause tool, that could take, days, weeks, months for all of us to get through the entire Cougar Pause when we're looking at one board policy. Well, we don't have that time, and neither do you. Board policies, we would like to try to keep them on a pretty strict schedule and get them in front of multiple different groups of people, including the board. And so we needed to scale that back a little bit. So the proposal that we found might work is to create a mini tool, is to use the Cougar Pause to create a mini tool that the board review committee and the board themselves could use when looking at new board policies that come before them, or reviewing previously developed board policies for maybe making some changes. Maybe there's questions on there that we hadn't asked ourselves when the policy was originally developed. And so now that it's up for review, that would be the opportunity to take a look at it from multiple different angles and see if there's things that we could be changing, because maybe there's a barrier there that we were not aware of, or it had an unintended consequence or something that was happening that, we were able to pick out by answering a few of these questions when we looked at the review of that policy. So when we were looking at utilizing this tool, we saw that there's opportunities in the board policies, because we saw that some of the board policies, as I was mentioning, are lacking some explicit considerations for trauma-informed practices. Many of them may not be very consistent with the evolution of the college's values. There was some gray areas that led to maybe some interpretation that could vary and cause for inconsistencies on the way that they're being implemented. We also have the new shared governance process at the college, and so that changed a little bit on how we take policies through a review process with the greater college community. And there's always going to be some ongoing changes with state, federal regulations and requirements, also with our accrediting body, that might come up with something new that we need to either incorporate in or make some changes to some of our policies. So with all of these complexities, we wanted to make sure that you had something in place that you could utilize, and we wanted to weave in some social empathy. We thought that utilizing the Cougar Pause would be a perfect way to bring you into utilizing it, and utilizing it with something small, so that the more that you do it, the better you would get at it, and the more you would think about it when you're making other larger decisions. I'm going to move on to this little copy on this right-hand side of this slide was the first iteration, I'm going to call it, of our mini tool. And that was included in the last work session agenda packet. Then Casey and Tina and I continued to work through the Cougar Pause, and we made some updates and revisions to it. So the one I sent you in the email today, also I had updated it in the agenda packet as the updated version of the mini tool that doesn't look, it looks similar to this, but it's a little bit different, and I'll show you in just a minute. We are going to have some discussion questions on it. I'm going to bring it up in my slide, but I want you to look at the questions first. We want to make sure that we're on the right track. We want to understand if you feel that it would be an easy tool to use when we were reviewing board policies, or if you found some difficulty in it, or if you had any clarifying questions that maybe we needed to answer or explain more, and anything that stood out that we might be missing. And so I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to bring up the new revised tool on my screen so that you can take a few minutes to take a look at that. And it is not there, so let me bring it back up again. And I'm going to move it to this other screen so that maybe it can be seen. Yep, there it is. Okay. So I'm going to make it a lot bigger here. And oops. First, I'm going to start with it small, as I did before. You can see that it's 2 pages, and it essentially looks about the same. Then I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to say that we just had, like a one statement at the top, just kind of explaining what it's for and what the purpose is. We have some guiding principles for as you're reviewing board policies, some things to take a look at. And then we start in these sections, and I'm going to zoom in further when I get done with this part. But we have these sections that are titled, and you can see there's the, does it align with the college? There's a section, the clarity and consistency. And then you can see that there's the inclusive language and accessibility. And so as we get closer here, so you can really read some of this information on here. And like I said, I did send it via email, but you can see the guiding principles here, making sure that it aligns with the college's mission, vision, values, making sure that we're looking at a trauma-informed approach. We've got empathy and cultural sensitivity, inclusive language, clarity, and consistency. The Likert scale that we have for all of the questions or the statements are: we completely agree, somewhat disagree, or sorry, I'm going backwards. Completely disagree, somewhat disagree, somewhat agree, and completely agree. But then we also have this note and comment section. And we'd really like you to utilize that as you're going through, let's say, a board policy. If you had something for this question and you had an additional statement or additional question, you could put that in the notes or comments. And then when we are ready to discuss it as a group together, that would be a point of clarification or something we could bring up. Under the college alignment section, we're really looking at, does the policy that you're reviewing, let's say you have a policy in front of you that you're reviewing, does that policy align with the college mission? And then we provide the college mission there. Does the policy align with the college vision? Also the core values, and we've listed some descriptions there for you of each of the values. Whoops. Getting to the bottom of this makes it a little bit more difficult. Under the clarity and consistency, we have the primary goal of this policy is articulated clearly and unambiguously. This policy is clear about how it will impact and or benefit different populations. Any complex concept in this policy is explained in simple terms. Key terminology is used consistently throughout the policy and remains consistent with all board policies. So if we're calling a student, we're calling them a student. If we're calling them an employee or a stakeholder, we continue to use those languages instead of, some other form of calling that person. There are consistent expectations and policy rules to be followed. There are also consistent processes for those who do not abide by the policy. For the gender neutral and the language in it, this policy uses gender neutral terminology. And again, it stays consistent throughout. The language in the policy avoids assumptions about the gender role or gender identity. All acronyms used within the policy are defined upon the first use and used consistently thereafter. This policy avoids culturally specific idioms or references that might not be universally understood. The language is clear, concise, and easy to understand for a broad audience by avoiding unnecessary logistics and academic jargon. Language does not censure or accuse, fault, or diminish agency or any individual or group. And then language maintains respect, empathy, and is not exclusively, exclusionary toward any protected class. And we list those there. And again, as you walk through those questions, you would complete the check marks, make your notes, and then you would do this as an individual, and then we would come together as a group and discuss. So looking at that mini tool that we've created utilizing the Cougar Pause, I'm going to take you back to the questions of if we are missing anything or if you think that it's easy. Let's see, what were my questions? Are we on the right track? That's the first question. I know that one.
Yes, we are on the right track.
Yes.
And that's up for discussion. We don't want people to just say yes to find agreement for no other reason than to avoid, like public conflict, I guess. But we really do need your help because you're the ones that are going to be utilizing this, and you're the ones that would have to explain to people that when we have a policy or if there's any type of, I don't know, protest or people saying like, why does this policy exist? This is going to help you answer how you all came to the conclusions of, some of the decisions about that. Sometimes it's a compliance issue and the state requires that we have a policy about something. But if we're not on track for what you think would be helpful in reviewing a policy, let us know because we can, this is an easier time for us to shift and make adjustments to that because it's really between you, as we were sharing with Katie, you're not going to hurt our feelings. It's more about, we don't want you to just talk down to us, but sharing your thoughts and ideas in a respectful way is exactly what we need so that, we can help support Katie, support you. Since it will be your tool that you're using.
I would say that we're definitely on the right track. It'll be hard to, it'd be hard to answer that until we put it into use. And knowing that this is a work, not necessarily a work in progress, but something that is ever evolving would be good. And so when we start using it, we go, oh, I wish that this would happen, then, that would be right. But I think definitely you're on the right track. It's thoughtful. It's inclusive. It's just, it has all the pieces to it for good decision making and the kind we want to have made. Kinds of decisions that we're faced with and need to ponder. So, yeah.
Yes, definitely trying to be inclusive, which is the goal of our institution, right? So I see a lot more of that in this tool. And we'd be obviously intentionally using it, right? So seems to be the right direction. That's our goal, is to be inclusive. The tools definitely seems to be doing that and making us focus on it.
Yeah, Casey, I believe that we are on the right track. If I said no, then that means that you guys have to start all over again. And I don't think that's what you want to do. I think that it allows us the opportunity to really engage, really think about what we are trying to do, and really come to some conclusions. But maybe not necessarily everybody comes to the same, but at least we are working toward that goal. So yes, I think you guys have done an excellent job getting us on the track.
Ryan or Irene, any concerns or commendations?
Remembering a policy. Can you hear me? My internet is really bad today.
Yes.
The policy we had, the childcare, the children in the classroom policy, when our board member there was like, wait, actually, let's back up. And so that's a tool we didn't obviously have in this type of granular process, but it helps. Having this process is going to help us see other things that are missing that we normally would not catch.
Absolutely. Thank you, Irene.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track. Looks good. I think the only question that came to mind immediately was what kind of training has the board had in some of these larger topics or terminology? So, for example, trauma informed, like I know a lot about these types of things, but I wonder as a group, as a board, have we done training on what trauma informed means in different areas? Or when we encounter these types of things, where there'll be resources to sort of support us as we answer those questions?
That's more what I'm thinking about, because doing a whole 36 hours of training on understanding what trauma-informed practices or care looks like is time we don't have built in, unless that's what, again, we are at your service to support you. So if that's something that's wanted or needed, but we could test a few things out. I think we're going to practice on a couple of policies, right? Like test it out to see what kinks we do see or recognize. And then if some things become apparent that we really need to do differently or get educated on, and then we would stop and pause and think, maybe we should do that first before we move on. And one more thing. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
I am not trauma informed, so you can start there.
Yeah. And that's okay, because a lot of people, that sounds like really big language, and really what we're doing, like utilizing this tool in and of itself, is you thinking through and thinking about how the decisions you make, Rob, impact people. That's an act of trauma-informed practice. So go ahead, Tina.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question about the Likert scale. I just posed the question to the group. How does the Likert scale feel? Because we did go back and forth deciding how we wanted to ask or make the statements. Is it clear? Is it ambiguous? Do you know what you would possibly do if the group checks somewhat disagree, or if it's like all over the place? Like what's going to happen then? I feel like now would be a good time to ask your questions.
I'm going to jump in just because I know we're at close to time, if not already at time or overtime. Tina, I love this question. Number one, I think that when we recognize whether we're all in one space at completely disagree all over the place or all in complete agreement about something, you as a board might still have a trade-off or a decision to make based on that ranking that you all come to when you have that discussion. Like, what do we do if we all disagree? Do we have time? Then we go back to those questions about the policy. Like, do we have time to go back and revise this? What pieces might we have to revise? What are we willing to live with until we review this policy again? But at least we can acknowledge that we knew that it didn't quite meet our expectations at this time, but we agree to come back at a future date. Like, this is what we'll use for the next year, and at a future date, we'll review it again and see what the outcomes have been. That's what the Likert item rankings will help us kind of flesh out. However, Tina, I'm with you. Like, look it over a little bit more, see how that feels for you. If you want us to change the scale in regards to how we do that scale, such as like, there's different ways in which you can ask a Likert item scale. I think you all know this, but that's when we can come back together and be like, what does this mean to us if we're all over the place? What do we want to do?
That's good.
Great question, Tina.
Policy Review Committee, anyway, consists of three, right? Three board members, which may still be required. Otherwise, we might be violating public meetings laws, right? But so it'd be interesting to how that tool gets used by 3 versus 7, and how we accommodate that.
So just to wrap this up for tonight, I'm going to say that please take a look at the tool. And in the interim, between the next time that we come back together, which will be at our September board meeting, we'll have a work session prior to that will bring this information back to you again. And we will hopefully we'll have some time at that meeting then to do a couple practices with a few of the board policies that are currently in existence, utilizing this tool as a whole group. And we'll see if it feels good to us or if there's any changes at that time. But in the meantime, if you have any changes, feel free to email those to me, or if you have any suggestions, please email me, or any additional questions. And we can go over that and then be prepared to meet with you again at the September board meeting. We appreciate your time this evening, and thanks for having us. And then I'll turn it back over to Joe to end the work session and start the regular special meeting whenever you're ready.
All right. Thank you, Katie and Casey and Tina. Thank you so much for presenting that work session to us tonight. And I'm sure that we will have additional questions, because as I said before, it's sort of hard to work it the first time and get it as in the direction that we want to go. Thank you so much. I want to end this work session tonight. Are there any questions from the board, or any directions that you want to see us go in September? Anything special that you want us to do? If not, this work session is adjourned. It's about 7:06 p.m. Are our other members out there somewhere, Katie? I want to call
yeah, do you want me to do the roll call? Are you
Yes,
starting with
please.
the next meeting? Okay, so
Tina and I are going to step away.
Yes.
Thank you for allowing us to be in your work session.
And
thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And so I did hear back from Kathy. She apologizes. She will not be able to make it tonight. And so I'm just going to run through the roll call here. I have position number 7 representing Canby and Molalla. I have Irene Konev.
Here.
Position number 5 representing Westland and Wilsonville, Ryan Ingersoll.
Here.
Position number 3 representing Gladstone and Johnson City, Wade Hathorn is excused this evening. Position number 2 representing Clackamas and Happy Valley, Rob Wheeler.
Here.
Position number 1 representing Milwaukee, Kathy Heisey is also absent this evening. Position number 6 representing Estacada and Colton, Jane Reed.
Here.
And then our chair, position number 4 representing Oregon City, Chair Joe Crenshaw.
Here. Thank you, Katie. New business action tonight. Our new business for tonight, for the session, is under new business. We only have one item on this agenda for this evening. And if we have our young men available, Are they online?
Yes, we have Ron Prince is going to be the dean in charge tonight of this item, and then we also have Vice President Jeff Schaefer here to back him up.
Okay, terrific. The only item we have this evening is the resolution for number R25/26-07, contracting the Climate Tech Corporation for pneumatic controls. And that is to help us to convert pneumatic control conversion at Barlow, old section of Wapkina, Welcome Center, McLaughlin Bookstore, Pauline A. and Randall Hall. So I'm going to invite Dean Ron Prince and owner Representative Dale Kuykendall to present the item.
I'll kick us off first here, Ron, and just want to acknowledge that we have a lot of bond projects out there, and that there's a lot of things that'll be coming to the board, and just want to even preface that one of the things that Ron and I are working on with Dale is a master plan of what all these projects are and when things will come to the board, so you can actually be aware of things that are coming to the board, because they come fast and furious. Part of a bond project is you're supposed to spend the funds down in 36 months, or at least a certain amount of funds within a certain amount of period of time. So that's what happens here is we get a big sum of money. It's in the bank account. We're ready to go. And we start doing our procurement, and then we start bringing it to the board. So you're seeing a lot of bond projects coming to the board, and we want to be in front of that. And we're more than happy if you guys want to like extend these to like a 2-month. This is a good example of one where we could do this in September if you needed a full month for review. The idea here is if we at least bring it to the board here in August, we can get in front of it and start working with our scheduling with the vendor and minimize the amount of class issues that are happening when we start school in October. So a lot of this is like, how can we minimize disruption to the school, get these contracts in place quickly, and start working on the scheduling with our contractors. So that's a lot of what you're seeing is things coming, but we're more than happy to talk with you through any questions and bring these, start scheduling these ahead of time so you guys can be ahead of schedule on these. So I just wanted to give you a little preface of why you're seeing a lot of contracts coming. And it's just what happens when you have a ton of bond projects, especially I want to give Ron credit. We have $20 million of deferred major maintenance, which doesn't usually happen in a school bond. Usually it's about building a big shiny new thing. And this is a good project where it's about like, how do you take pneumatic manual controls of our HVAC systems and turn them into electronic systems that open and close the vents when those classrooms are being used. So obviously that would cause disruption to classrooms if we have ladders in a classroom to fix those. But if we can get a lot of that work done, we'll have much more efficient systems going forward. And I'm sure Ron will mention there's an ETO rebate that comes with these. So these are good projects that we're all excited about. But I just wanted to give that preface to everybody because I know these are short notice that you're getting these.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Chair Crenshaw, I am grateful for the compliment tonight of young men. Like, wow, I mean, I was appreciative of that. It's been a while. Thank you, board, for the opportunity tonight to present to you in this special session and for your time. In summary of this project, upgrading these last 5 campus buildings from obsolete pneumatic HVAC controls to our unified automated logic digital platform will significantly improve energy efficiency. As you'll see in my reference to energy trust incentives, and reduce maintenance costs, enhance comfort for students and staff. With $161,000 in energy trust incentives that we are being offered for this project, that offsets the $367,000 total project cost. This will bring every college building into a single modern control system that supports long-term operational savings and sustainability. I appreciate your consideration in approving this energy efficiency related bond project. As Jeff mentioned, there's there's deferred maintenance and energy efficiency and decentralization buckets that total $30 million that we have we need to spend down, and we're currently developing those plans to spend this down. I want to assure you that Jeff mentioned this as well, but I just wanted to assure you that the timing of this request is intended to align procurement with construction between academic terms, thus minimizing disruption and delivering more comfortable, efficient learning spaces sooner. As Jeff mentioned, we can push this off for another month if you need some time to review this. We are targeting the main installation of these in the time in the winter term between the winter term and the fall term and the winter term. I'm sorry. And so the procurement process is challenging, which is why we want to kind of get this going a little earlier. So let me know if you have any questions or comments on this, and appreciate your consideration.
Are there any questions?
I have questions.
Go ahead.
Rob Wheeler. Tell me about the selection process. How do we come up with the provider we did? Was there a request for proposal? Was it competitive? I didn't see anything about that.
So Climate Tech is a sole proprietor of the automated logic controls platform that we have at the college that we are working to have that sole controls platform. So their proposal and their scope, because they are that sole proprietor, it allows us to only seek pricing from them. The largest part of this scope is their proposal, which is the $259,000. So that is how we got to this point with requesting your approval.
So their product is unique to them. This conversion product from pneumatic to digital.
So the product that's unique to them is Automated Logic. So Automated Logic is the brand name of the controls platform. They only have regional support companies, and in this region, Climate Tech is the only company that supports that platform. And that platform is definitely what we want to stay with here at the college.
Because it's effective, it works, it's recognized.
So I'll just give you some personal experience. I have experience with about half a dozen controls platforms. When I came here 4 years ago, my socks were blown off on how easy this platform is to utilize in programming and troubleshooting, and operationally. And so the college had already started moving towards this platform, and is definitely from a maintenance standpoint, I would say is far superior to anything that I've ever had experience with in my 30 plus years of experience.
And you mentioned energy efficiency. Can you quantify that? How much we can expect to gain in energy efficiency?
I do not have that in front of me right now. The Energy Trust study quantifies that. And I would love to share that information with you after the meeting if possible. There are kilowatt and therm very specific kilowatt and therm saving numbers that are associated with this project. I can look it up if I can see if I can try to get access to it really quick, Mr. Wheeler.
Yeah, and if there's any other questions, as Ron's mentioned, these are all big energy efficiency savings that we're working on here at the college. So they definitely come with a lot of benefits that come with all of these projects. So, and I appreciate your questions, Rob, because they are relevant. There are other people in the business, but these are the folks that have these controls in our systems currently. So that really makes them sort of like when you have one security system in your house, you can't necessarily add a different security system on one window. You need to kind of stick with that same security system throughout your whole house. So that's a
Right.
lot of what we're doing here is the economy of scale with like who's the best provider that we know of from our experience internally.
I did find the numbers on the Energy Trust study. So as a result of implementing this project, the college is going to save 192,000 and change kilowatt hours and 17, almost 18,000 therms of natural gas.
And can you translate that to dollar savings or percentage less energy used, something to that effect that we're doing now?
I'm not sure we have done that analysis. We do have the ETO coming in and doing was it the ETO or we have a consultant coming in to work on all of these energy efficiencies. And one of my hopes is that we will start to come to you when we start doing those oversight committee meetings and start doing more feedback loop, is to start talking about how much we're saving in our PGE and Northwest Natural bills. I mean, ultimately that's where it matters, is to come back
Yes.
like a year from now, 2 years from now, and start telling you, like, look at what we're saving from adding this to our bond. Because that's really what we want to tell our constituents as well, is that when you approve things like major maintenance and energy efficiency and boiler improvements, you're bringing back operational dollars so we can actually do teaching and learning and other things with our operational dollars on campus. So I would hope that we'd be able to start bringing that information downstream as we start realizing those savings and start doing those feedback pieces to the oversight committee and to the board as we go through with this bond.
That's
So,
exciting. Right.
Mr. Wheeler, the
Savings.
I don't
Go
know
ahead.
I don't know what we're paying for natural gas. I do know, I believe we're about 8 cents a kilowatt. So to 8 cents a kilowatt times 192,000 is about $15,000 savings
Is that
just for the electricity.
is that annually?
Um, I believe that is correct. Yes, sir. I believe that is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
And then again, I'm not 100% sure of our therm cost. I could get that information and provide that and be ready with future studies. As Jeff mentioned, um, if you don't mind, I'll spend a couple of minutes on this. Um, af, the last three bond cycles, the margin of victory has been slowly diminishing. One of the things that I would like to do and that I am working on doing is quantifying how much work that we do in relation to the $30 million that I'm given. How much work was I able to accomplish with that work, including, based on incentives, but also what kind of energy and natural gas did we save as a result of implementing these projects? I want to take that data and then allow the next bond cycle to utilize that data so that we can again ask our and give those that are voting for this data and show them how they have entrusted us with this money over this current bond cycle and what we've done with it, so that when we do ask for more, which we will need to, that margin of victory or in approval will grow.
Okay, say, and how long would we expect these controls to be in place? Expect them to last 10 years, 20 years?
Oh, more than that.
Okay, so multiply those savings potentially by 10 and 20 years or plus, right?
Yes, sir. Once you implement these controls upgrades, these electronic controls are way more reliable than any kind of pneumatic control ever dreamt of being. And so there is a lot of longevity. There's also a lot of opportunity to fine tune how these controls are reacting that you don't have with the older pneumatic controls.
Okay, sounds good.
I really appreciate the questions, actually. This is
Yeah.
a passion of mine.
I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
The the new buildings already have these controls in them, correct? The ones that, like over in the tech center and around.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
once we complete these, we will be all of them will be on the pneumatic controls, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
They will be off of pneumatic controls onto the automated logic platform.
That's one way. Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
you're welcome.
Are there any other
Yeah,
questions?
I have a couple questions. So just we start talking about energy savings, but as I read this, that isn't the primary reason why we're doing this. At least initially, you use the word obsolete pneumatic controls. So if I'm understanding that correctly, part of it's also moving. We have to move to a system because the current controls are just not going to be working much longer. That's kind of the driver of this?
And or not working currently, and we're having to make manual
Okay.
adjustments of areas which is a great larger percentage of this.
Okay.
Pneumatic controls are also extremely complicated. And so the expertise to know how to tune those and maintain those is not something that is as widely known or honestly, truthfully possessed by our engineering team here at the college.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
a lot of this work, we have service calls usually that on pneumatic controls that we can't figure out. It is large. It is the primary focus is to actually convert that over to electronic as much as we can. Question.
Okay. Good. That's and good work on the energy trust incentives as well. That's good to see that in there. I was just poking around. It looks like Climate Tech also did Lane Community College and then Kaiser in the area and then a middle school in Canby. So it sounds like at least regionally they've had good success there. So I'm assuming, have you talked to people at Lane Community College about this system or
We've
just
used
your own?
No, we've utilized since I've been here almost 4 years. This is who we have to use. Okay, just in general, this is who we have to use. But I have been working directly with Climatech for the entire time that I've been here, almost 4 years now, and they're exceptional.
Good. Great. And then just one like little question that maybe goes into how we work as a board to move these things along. Buried in the uh, proposal, they have under the clarification section, they say, due to extreme inflationary environment, we will honor proposal pricing for 45 days from the date of proposal. So, I mean, that's one thing I think as a board, like we don't want to take too long to be able to approve these because that might cause the prices to be going up quite a bit. So I guess I just wanted to read that out loud so that we all kind of are aware of that. And then I'm assuming, is that something that you're experiencing with all of the vendors as you kind of go out to get these jobs, getting proposals for the work that needs to happen?
Yes, great question. Some of because I've been working on this project for almost a year now. And so some of these proposals, this is taking so long, right? So some of these proposals are older than what they said they would honor. I have reached out and confirmed either that they are good or asked for updates on all of the proposals associated with this project for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Great questions. Thank you.
I've got one more, if nobody else does. And that was, I noticed they had a list of what was not included. Can you help me with that? Was that listed for a reason? Are we expecting to have it included in another proposal? Or tell me why that was in there, the language of the stuff that was not included.
Okay.
And just clarifying what they're responsible for and what they're not responsible for.
Yeah.
I'm reviewing it really quickly. Was there something
Well,
specific does not constitute a commitment? What particularly are you talking about?
Every project had a list of things that were not included as the responsibility of Climatech. I was just curious as to
So
why.
there are multiple scopes with the project. So there's a mechanical contractor that is needed to install to do the plumbing work associated with installing the new valves and the new control valves. There is electrical scope that's required to install some of the 120 volt, because Climatech does not install any of the 120 volt wiring to these. So that scope is covered by Lear Electric in this case. And then there's also there's also some products that specifically variable frequency drives that we are purchasing directly in order to save the college money. Because so that we're direct buying this stuff, but those are some of the things that they're not including in this project because that's not their expertise. And specifically, I feel like I don't feel like I know that the general contractor role. I take that general contractor role in these projects so that I can save the college money. In that way that they're not all working under Climatech and charging us that extra 10 to 15% on top of what we're having to pay individually and being able to run those projects.
Well, that's music to my ears.
Mhm.
Thank you for being conscious of that. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Are there any other questions?
No.
Okay. The discussion is finished, and I will ask for a motion to approve.
Could you state the motion? I don't have the proper language.
We have a motion to approve resolution R 25/2607.
I make a motion, we approve.
And second,
I
Jane, raise your
second.
hand.
Jane.
Mhm.
Okay, all those in favor say
Aye.
Aye.
I
and aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes,
Mhm.
and I don't have a gavel, so. For the record, the motion passes. There is no further business. The Clackamas County Community College Board of Education meeting is adjourned for tonight. Have a
Hey,
good.
can you stay on for just 1 minute?
Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you.
all. Have a
Thank you
good
for your
one.
time. Great
Bye.
questions. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to
Bye, thank you.
more of
Thank
these.
you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron and Jeff, both of you. As I say, young men.